Hey guys, it's TF Nut. Welcome back to the channel, and today I am starting off my series of Gunpla reviews with the Bandai Mobile Suit Gundam High Grade Universal Century 1/44th Scale RX-78-2 Gundam. Again, this being, of course, from the original Mobile Suit Gundam series. Very excited to finally start doing actual Gunpla reviews. I have a decent backlog I gotta get through. And what better way to get through the backlog than by motivating myself to, review these as well. And I had to start with this one here. I have a few new ones I'd like to build and review soon, but I just did not feel right if I didn't start my series of these reviews with the OG Gundam here. Of course, besides a couple of Zaku's, one of the first Gundams ever featured in this series, the flagship Gundam here. You all are very familiar with the RX-78-2, even if you don't know it by name. This kit here is the revived version. This is a 2015 model kit release. I got mine during lockdown in 2020. I built it almost 4 years ago, of course. And again, this is one of my first ever Gundams, Gunpla that I've ever built. And here's the thing about this line. You could really start wherever you want. You don't even have to start with a high grade. You can go with entry grade, real grade, master grade, perfect grade, if that's even your speed. You can really start anywhere you want. Me personally, though, I wanted to start with this one, and I think that it is also a very good starting point. It's not a perfect Gundam, but it is quite good, especially for the price, which this ranges from $10 to $15 on a bunch of different retailers. It is almost always in stock. I've never really seen it go out of stock, to be honest. I don't see it in local stores anymore besides my hobby store, but you could definitely get this online for a very good price. I can't speak for the Origins version because I haven't built it yet. I don't own the Beyond Global. I haven't built my real grade. I don't have the Master Grade one, but that will be my first Master Grade when I get that. Perfect grade, that's out of my speed. I don't even remember if they have an RX-72 perfect grade. They probably do. But there's a lot of different options. If you want to do, the RX-78-2, this is a pretty good option. You get a really cheap one. If you are super tight on a budget, I highly recommend this particular Gundam. So you've been looking at the packaging for a while. I've always really liked the packaging on these newer kits, especially, it's been almost 10 years with this particular kit, but the art here is also really good, and they just keep getting better with newer releases. And this is just a really nice box here. It shows off pretty much everything you need to know about the model kit, different accessories, different posing, and of course, different artwork throughout the whole packaging here. So usually with these, newer kits, I should say, I'd like to do the before the build section where I show off what's inside, before it actually gets built. But since I built this almost 4 years ago, I don't have my runners anymore. I could have gotten a new version, but I, didn't really want to buy another one of these exact same kits just to rebuild it again, So I don't have a before the build section, but with the newer kits that I'll be reviewing soon, I'll be doing that. Anyway, here is a 360 of the figure right here. Model kit, of course. I have a habit of calling it a figure. It pretty much is. This is a really nice model kit. Again, it's not perfect, especially compared to some of the other high grades I have built in my collection. I haven't built that many still, but it's still really awesome. I would like to go ahead and take a look at the accessories that you got to build here, and then we'll take a close look at the actual model kit. So these are all of the accessories that get built once you finish the model kit. There's a lot of stuff going on here. Maybe not as much as the Robot Spirits version, but of course that's an actual import action figure, a high-end action figure. Compared to this $10 to $15 model kit, there's a lot of stuff to go here. First of all, we got to talk about the hands. I have not buffed these gate marks out yet. So yeah, they look a little ugly, unfortunately. I now own a glass file to get these buff marks out. That's why my Gunpla take a little bit longer to build, because I try to get the buffs out. The gates off as much as possible. And yeah, I haven't done that with this yet. But the actual detailing on the hands from what is pre-made on the runner, really sick. You see the back panel right there. And a lot of you know by now, if you're even slightly familiar with Gunpla, let alone other model kits, you can pop, this hasn't popped off yet, but normally these back panel pieces do pop off, and you put the accessory in, and then you pop it back in there. You don't actually need to do that with the beam saber hand. This actually fits in there really well. I think the back panel piece will come off ever so slightly. You just push it back in there. You can see how that looks like in that. And then I did want to show off the hand already just, I don't know what's going on right there. Already, implemented into the, I don't really know what I'm trying to say. He's holding the beam rifle, of course, because putting it on and off is going to take too long, and I mess it up a couple times. But this is what it looks like when the beam rifle hand is grabbing the beam rifle itself. And the actual beam rifle, besides like the camera that has some buff marks I need to get out, there really isn't that many gate marks, maybe like right there, that I've noticed. They did this really well to where, okay, now I'm starting to see some more. But they did it well to where you really don't notice the gate marks in a lot of areas. Like, especially like the side profiling of this weapon, you're not seeing anything. So that is really nice. This little camera goes side to side. You can pop this off if you want to, but then pop it back on. And it's in a particular groove, I think, that you need to put. Yeah, it aligns with a particular groove. This part here also hinges side to side, so you can grab it with the other hand right there. Okay, so we do get two of these, and I just want to show off how it looks with one of them right now. We have the actual beam accessory for the beam saber, and then you have the handle there in a white plastic, and it's a little bit bright, so I'm going to turn it down a little bit. This is a little bit of a softer translucent plastic. It's not super pliable. If you keep going at a certain, force, it will break, so just be careful with that. But it's a nice translucent plastic, like I said, very similar to like lightsabers, that type of plastic. And then this, it's just a plain white here. But the idea, you can, on the top of this backpack piece, just slide that in there. And sure, it kind of moves around a little bit, actually a lot. But if you're posing it and you want to keep this stationary like this, it'll stay like that. So that's rather nice. Last things I do want to, actually there's 3 more things to talk about. We have the rocket launcher here. This is really sick. Very similar to the rifle. The way that they made sure gate marks aren't super apparent is really nice. The biggest area that's going to have a lot of gate marks is the exhaust right here, or the barrel, I should say. I think this is the exhaust. Yeah, you can see some decent gate marks they haven't gotten off yet. And, all this does look like a plain type of plastic, but, you do need to give it a little bit of TLC if you want to make it look a little bit more realistic with paint, as well as, panel lining for the bare minimum there. Handle right there. So, I don't remember. I think these should work, but I think it's best if you use the actual gun hand for the rocket launcher here. This hinges up and down right here. That goes over the shoulder, of course. And I thought that this moved up a little bit, but I don't think it does. That's what the back looks like. And then you have this adapter piece right here. This little white plastic clip piece. Clip that in there. And this is meant for going onto a particular port on the back side of the figure. So you just, you pop that off. It stays in there nicely, but you can also pop that panel off easily to get this in there. And while the rocket launcher does want to shimmy a little bit, that actual white extender piece does stay on there rather nicely. So you're not gonna, you gotta really pull it off if you, want it to come off. It'll come off easily, of course, but if you if it falls to the ground, I would be surprised if it actually comes off. Last thing I want to talk about, of course, is the shields. Very nice, again, very basic in its look because of how the plastic is done. But certain detailing is nice. We have part separation right here, which that does really well. The inside looks like, I do wish they separated the parts here. Maybe if this was a separate piece that was gray. All the stuff here you see here. But we do have a pivoting handle right here. And then we do have this port piece right here. So when you have the right hands, the gripping hands for the shield, and then you put that peg into the hole on the arm, it'll fit in there rather nicely. And then it does also have back storage when you want to put up the actual shield. Just want to, holster it, I should say. So we do have a lot of nice stuff going on with this kit in terms of accessories. Now, before we do the actual detail section, I do want to clarify, I don't really want to panel line these model kits during the detail section. Not that I have anything against panel lining, of course. You can see a little bit going on here, actually. But it's mostly because I would like to show off how this looks, basically the factory mode. Once everything is completely built and you get the stickers on there, and maybe some other decals that could be on there, I just want to show what it looks like before you put in the work yourself. I always do recommend putting in a little bit of extra work. I'm not very good at painting, but panel lining is perfect for me with these because I haven't done certain areas, but you can panel line here with, special markers that you can use. You can actually tell in the head section, those vents there, they're not very good. Very bad, actually. But I started paneling a little bit there, a little bit in the mouth right there. You actually see a little bit of orange in the yellow there to kind of bring out that yellow, but I didn't do a very good job at it at all. A little bit of like gray, very dark gray here. I think a couple sections I attempted like an actual line here or two. I don't remember where. I think a little bit right here, like right here maybe. But again, my intention is to show you how it looks once everything is just assembled for the first time, just so you get an idea of how it looks. Maybe later on when I do the articulation or photos or whatever, I'll have like a little bit of extra time when I panel line some things. Maybe I'll do it then. It takes me a while because I like to make sure it's not too messy, so maybe not. But just when everything's built, it does look a little plain because there's not a lot of extra paint going on. It's just molded plastic, of course, but things do look really nice. These chevrons actually popped off for the first time like 10 minutes ago when I was getting ready to do this section. I lost it for a second, so I was able to find it again. So be careful. The chevrons on Gundams, to me, are some of the most, sensitive parts of these model kits and, like robot spirits and all that. But, I haven't had any breakage on this at all. So that's nice. This separate part of the red going on to the, onto this piece that locks in there. And one thing, it helps if maybe if I did a brand new kit, but you have a back sticker right there, sticker on the top around the chevron there, like in that little red section above that. The eyes are stickers, of course. Crotch section is a sticker. I think that should have been part separated. It may be like that on other RX-78s later on down the line. I'm not entirely sure. But there's not that many stickers. There's maybe like 4 or 5 stickers total, so really not that bad. The actual head sculpt does look really nice. I think I did the eyes a little wonky when I did it back in the day. I was having trouble putting that on probably, but that is undeniably a very classic looking RX-78-2. I do want to say, when it comes to the silhouette, I don't know if I could find a decent enough picture. I do think it's probably going to look different, throughout the show, but I am watching the original show. I haven't finished it. I think it's supposed to look a little bit more bulky, just a little bit more heavy in mostly the torso. It looks a little bit more thin, going on here. But that's not really a knock, I think they kind of updated the design to be a little bit more modern, or I could be just completely wrong, and throughout different parts of the show and maybe different iterations, later on of the RX-72, because I know, the Origins version, I think is similar, but not exactly the same here. I think they just made it a little bit thin. But, like, the parts separated, like the blue, all that, everything pops really nice. The colors on here are really nice. The yellow comes through really, again, everything just looks really nice. There's not much else for me to say. I do have a little bit of separation going on here. It's always been like that. This part here likes to separate. So I'm not entirely sure what's going on there. The backpack section, this is not, I think you actually, yeah, you can remove this if you feel so inclined and you want to pop that back in there. It's pretty much on there on the top all the time, so I don't really recommend moving it around. I'm probably going to forget this during the articulation section, but these things kind of shimmy, but they don't really move up and down that much. But, a lot of the armor here looking really nice. There's not, again, it's kind of hard for me to describe, a Gundam because, in the detail section, because there's a lot of stuff mechanically I don't know what's going on with, like, the anatomy of a Gundam. And also, a lot of this you build yourself. So, if some things don't look as good, like if there's like a nub mark right there that I haven't sanded down. That's my fault for not sanding it down. I just didn't have any kind of buffing tool for the time being. But like these open hands, they look really good. They do want to pop off a little bit on the socket there. I think they're accurate in size. Like these do look a little too large. And mostly the fingers look a little too large, but they're not bad. I forget how it's supposed to look in the show, so there could be, you know, sections where the fingers look really long and I could be full of crap. So there's that. But a lot of like the mechanical workings, everything is very simplistic design. You know, this is a design from the 70s, but they capture it pretty well. You have this little cap piece going on the elbow there. These little socket pieces for, you know, doing the shield. The skirt piece is looking good. We have some part separation going on in there. Everything is locked in very nice and tight. This again, I mentioned this during the accessory portion, but that's locked in there pretty well. These side skirts, I'll probably forget this during the articulation too, but this does want to, you know, hinge up and down a little bit, and then you can rotate that side to side. And I don't snip these, I don't divide these usually before placing it in there, just because they get loose a lot of the time, but you can snip, you know, these are connected, you can snip right down the middle and make these go individually. But you know, you move one leg and both these side skirts will move. I don't mind that. I'd rather do that than have loose front skirts. So you do have, you know, nice detailing going on these legs. I think I started panel lining this and I think I just gave up. I definitely gave up panel lining this because I was like, just get some better markers later on down the line. Just never got around to it. You have a little port system here if you have a adapter base that, you know, Bandai does sell. You can build for these Gunpla. You know, moving these around similar to the elbow, so you get that, you know, piece there on the knee. Again, I needed to buff that. These, you know, knee pieces, they're like these knee guards almost. All the detailing there is pretty cool actually. And then I added a little bit from a dark gray Gunpla marker. The back, this looks like it's a little bit separated going on there. And then you get down to, you know, a very apparent joint here. But I do think it looks pretty similar to... I mean, we don't really see how the ankles look in the show often, do we? But we have a little bit of, like, some pistons going on here, so that's pretty sick. And then, you know, you have these front pieces here that kind of pivot. And then I think I had a red marker, or I think this is black, and I tried to get these down here, you know, painting, or, you know, panel line these. Doesn't look very clean at all. Looks very messy. So if it looks kind of ugly and it looks like it's half-assed with the panel lining, that's because it is. And it's really my fault. Again, I think that there are... it kind of... You know, it's not really RX-78-2's fault. There are some cooler designs of Gundams later on in the series that get adapted or, you know, turned into high grades that look a little bit cooler than this. But as it stands... I think aesthetically this thing looks really nice. Again, just from my memory, I think it is slightly off the design of the original. I think it looks a little bit more bulky, but at the same time I could be full of crap, and this may look perfect from the, you know, original design going on there. But this is just a really nice looking piece, especially for the price you get. They really make this look nice. With this being a 2015 kit, this revived version here, I don't know if I ever mentioned that in the beginning. Already forgotten, but the articulation here is, you know, maybe not as good as some newer kits, but it's still really nice and sometimes can even like rival some Marvel Legends and like Brown Toys figures. We have a polycap going on in here, you know, go forward and back actually really decently. I think over time, I haven't really messed around with this too much, but I think over time joints may have gotten a little bit loose on this, or maybe it was always like that, but you can swivel and then you can do a hinge like so. There's also a polycap system in the arms here. The biggest loose area is this, and we'll talk about that in a second, but I'll leave that off for now. These shoulder pieces can go all the way around, and then you can actually make this go all the way up. Like this can hit the head. That is sick. Then that's as far down as it wants to go. You can go forward a little bit. Really, it's actually a pretty tight joint here. It's not like it's going to break, but it keeps a pose really well here at the swivel. The double jointed elbow is really good. And again, for all hands, they are on a ball joint, so you can go like this, forward and back, side to side, rotate. And again, these want to pop, I think all of them pop out, but especially these want to pop out a little bit. So while I actually have the ball joint off, we do have a bit of a hinge, but I can go forward like this. And let me pop this back on. So you can see that. And then you can push that back and it's in a normal position. But you don't really get any back at all. You kind of get a little bit, but it has to fall off the ball joint here on that polycap a little bit. And then when you want to rotate, some of the armor pieces does start to grind like that. So, you know, the torso articulation, you can kind of half-ass it and like go side to side and all that, but it's not really that good. Like, you really only swivel a little bit and a tiny bit of a crunch forward. Again, those front skirts are moving together for now. They kick out. They don't kick back really at all because those back skirts don't move. You can kick these out. If you kick this out all the way, this will fall off the side skirt. I mentioned the articulation on them earlier, but you can make this go out actually pretty decently. I think it rocks it a little bit here, but I actually don't think it's supposed to because they think they're supposed to be pretty tight together and not move around too much. Actually, I think that is supposed to be normal. Yeah, upper thigh swivel, double joint there at the knee. A little bit of a pivot here, up and down, actually a ball joint going on in here too. You can see that. So you actually get a lot of range of motion in the ankles. It is a little bit limited by some of the armor going on here, and then this pops off sometimes. So, you know, some areas I think could be a little bit better with the articulation, mostly the torso, but other areas are really good. Measuring out the figure, we're looking at pretty close to 13 centimeters, maybe a little bit over that. So that's going to put this actually around 5¼ inches tall. You can see it's just a little bit shorter than the Robot Spirits version right next to it on the left, and I think that, like, proportions-wise, it does look a little bit more anime accurate. On the right, we have Destiny Gundam, just to give you an idea of some other model kits I'll be doing in the future for reviews. Over on the far left, that's the Sentinel Gurren Lagann, which is not accurate in scale. It's supposed to, I think Gurren Lagann's supposed to be much smaller than the Gundam. Over on the far right, standard size Marvel Legends figure is going to be taller than all of these. Overall, after 4 years of me building this model kit, I still really dig it. I think they did a really great job overall. Even 10 years after its release, it still holds up in some ways. It's not a perfect kit, of course. I have built some slightly better high grades over the years, but at the same time, you really can't go wrong with this kit. It's a really nice classic looking, you know, RX-78-2. And if you don't have the means to get the Beyond Global or the Origins version, that this one here is still really nice. For 10 to 15 bucks, it's a steal, honestly. You get a really decent amount of accessories. The articulation and engineering here is really good. The overall figure, like the way that it looks and sculpt-wise, you know, when all of it's put together, is really good. I think that it's a little bit thin in the stomach area. I think it's supposed to be a little bit bulkier there. Also, the articulation isn't great in the torso, but the rest of the articulation is nice. It is just a really solid kit. It's a really quick build. It's maybe like a 3-hour build, honestly, and it's a very fun build, too. So it's not very complex at all. It's very good for, you know, there's the entry grade, but this is honestly kind of an entry grade in and of itself because of how easy it is. But that's not to say it's bad. Again, it's really fun. Maybe I'll do a comparison with this and the Robot Spirits version that I reviewed a while ago, and maybe even the 6-inch Gundam Universe one. I don't know yet. We'll wait and see. Until then, thank you guys very much for watching. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Comment down below what you think about the figure, what you think about the review. Leave a like, share, mix with your friends. Follow me on Instagram for more content over there, and I'll see you guys later.